Dropout, when they were formerly known as CollegeHumor, were pretty big in the YouTube space, mostly because sketch comedy took the space by storm. I knew CollegeHumor for their more raunchy and older audience content, which is probably why I ran into them when I was in high school. I knew they had their fair share of animations that were more general, I guess, if a bit too mean-spirited, but I mostly know them for their more trendy live-action skits, as well as Dinosaur Office, which, Nintendo Video has really taken influence on me as a kid. But anyways, CollegeHumor at the time wasn't anything too crazy for me. That was until I discovered their series. You already know Dinosaur Office, but also If Google Was a Guy, which was pretty funny, and Don Cheadle is Captain Planet, which was morbid? Then I recently found out that the one-time Batman was trying to find a voice. Yeah, that's a whole series. Pete Holmes' Batman. But let's be real here. We're here for the most iconic series. Okay, iconic enough where they felt like they could totally make a series out of it. Troopers! A series about not stormtroopers being bumbling idiots. It's up to them to not die to their boss, the violence of space war, or themselves, really. If you haven't, go watch it, because I won't be spoiling it in necessarily the traditional way, but I will be going over specific punchlines and jokes that I think you should just experience for yourself. So yeah, just go do that. Go watch it. Link in the description.
Wait, is the force field down?
What? What? No! That is crazy. Definitely not.
Because the force field makes a noise when it's on. No, it was more of a hum.
See? It's perfectly normal.
So the story goes is that there are two troopers, Rich and Larry, stationed on the Dread Cruiser. Totally not the Death Star. Ruled by Dreadlord Sinister. Definitely not Darth Vader. Definitely not. We'll get into that. Hijinks ensues. The main gist is that there's a problem, and whether or not the problem is totally unrelated or completely because of them, they're usually in the thick of it. And maybe even them trying to solve it. Them being Rich and Larry, by the way. Sometimes problems are solved, sometimes they aren't solved, sometimes problems are resolved, and sometimes they just die. Yeah, just straight up die. See, the series goes by episodic cartoon logic, where not only do the episodes stand on their own, they just straight up reset the universe. While a bit jarring at first, mostly because, it's a live action series, so I'm so used to live action being an overarching continuity, you'd be surprised how well Troopers gets comfortable in this scenario. Horrible atrocities by the dozen, well that doesn't matter. Stuck in an inescapable escape pod, and doesn't matter. Characters get murked, bring them in for the next episode to get murked again. The entire station basically wipes out. This was fine. There is a lot of fun with this actually. Coffee Run has a great amount of antics with the idea of Rich having to go from one side of the station to the other, taking 3 whole days to get something for Dreadlord. However, every time he has to go back because he doesn't have a bear claw, for instance, that Dreadlord needs with the coffee. So he goes back for the bear claw, only realizing he needs a coffee to go with it because that was 3 days ago. Eventually he gets both. And they also install a coffee pastry maker that tastes the exact same from the store that Rich has been buying from. So they don't need to wait 3 days for Rich anymore to get back. Why Rich didn't just get both to begin with, or why Rich said he hasn't slept in weeks when it's only been a week and a half at that point, I don't really care, because characters die and come back all the time. Plot holes in cartoony continuity are really at the forefront here. But being real, I will say there are some weird moments that feel like lazy writing, as well as seemingly a lack of budget rather than intentional rule breaking for a good cause. But I mean, because of what comedy comes after it, it's kind of justified in a way. Well, that being said, for example, there is a monster that is a prisoner, a main subject matter prisoner for an episode that they almost kill Rich and Larry, and then a couple episodes after that they're waiting for the bathroom weirdly as a you know, like as a person that works there. And then like a couple episodes after that, they are ripping the heads off of soldiers. So maybe that level of nonchalant is actually lazy writing, but comedy, it's still funny. The comedy is hilarious. Like, there are many moments where the writing just shines in this department. Stuff like the escape pod episode, the computer episode, the laser sword episode, and the aforementioned coffee run episode. The magic with the comedy is freaking off the charts. This goes especially well when the body acting and the voice acting are all really well done. The voiceover work for the characters are given this little red versus blue radio scratchiness to it to make it more believable that they're under the helmet.
Force field never did that.
It's a new setting. Vaporize. Destructinate.
What the hell is destructinate?
Once you touch it and find out.
Okay.
No.
And generally have great voices for everyone. Rich having a more clean and professional voice while also sounding pathetic and weak every now and then.
Sir, it's great that you're open to suggestions.
Yes, great. I am great.
But you're killing everyone who suggests anything.
Larry having a very dumb sounding voice for a more laid back and also stupid personality.
Oh my god! Rich, we got our gun back! Yeah, I'm gonna live forever! Woo! Forever!
Chase, who I'll get into more, having a more friendly voice to showcase his niceness and also sometimes his more clueless moments.
Hey, do you guys ever think about how we hyperdrive on parkways and we park on hyperdriveway?
No, I don't. Shut up.
And Dreadlord having a deeper, intimidating voice at some points, and able to sound friendly as well for that dual personality.
Gunner, destroy the planet's moon.
Roger that.
That's it?
What? That's it? You just blew up your moon. Come on.
The acting itself is also really good. I don't ever find them faltering. They're 100% in character at all times. It does help that the characters are super relatable and it being a comedy series and all, but trust me when I say that the acting could be a lot worse and less than the quality. The voices are also timed perfectly for their punchlines. You know, the writing is quick and snappy, like not crazy quick per se, but there's a lot of space in between dialogue, unless it's for a punchline. But that constant barrage of quips at every corner is what this series shines in.
Larry's not here right now. Yeah, and even if he was, he'd say that anybody could have been fooled by that mannequin. Not just me.
You mean him,
Who?
Larry.
Yes, can I help you?
So what I'm hearing is I should kill you.
No.
Sometimes, and I do mean sometimes, comedy is paired up with slapstick. A very great example is the trooper death effect, where it kind of like, so the trooper disappears into thin air when they get shot, and then their armor just collapses within itself. Obviously, budget constraints. It's pretty clear that's, you know, how they died. They're just budget constraints, but it's still a really effective and funny effect either way, you know, watching them die like that. And again, so sometimes there's not really a lot of moments where it's actually a little slapstick, but there are those moments, and sometimes they're even off screen, and at the end of the day, they're still really, really funny. There are a few moments where I feel like the comedy falls short, and when it does, it usually affects the entire episode. Yeah, there are a couple of dud episodes in the collection. I wouldn't say they're offensive, I just think some of the back and forth in these episodes are not as funny. I don't know, they have a few good jokes, but they kinda don't land with me. I just think the one-sided, pathetic romances that never blossom are a one-trick pony that you really have to make funny to be funny. Also, I know how pathetic the army actually is, but this Scareduke episode is actually kind of painful. It's just the jealous character that is jealous because someone's perfect and better than them and all that. Even episodes with Rich and Larry, just them, seem like no-brainers for success, but you know, for every gun privilege episode and escape pod episode and tractor beam episode, there's a swamp planet episode, a mind trick episode, or a lost in translation episode. You know, there's episodes where like one person is the joke, and either they're the ass or the other guy is the ass. Oh, but the other guy isn't an ass because he's like the cool guy or whatever. And you know, it's so irritating to see one of the characters be so conceited or the other guy just be a bully, you know? And it just reeks of that gross old college humor that I'm all too familiar with, and I've been wanting to stay away from for a while now. I guess it's time to get into the characters since I've been talking about them so much. So we got Rich, the smarter of the two, if by a small margin. In turn, he's also the one that tries to be smart and comes off as dumb, because, well, he's paired up with Larry for a reason.
Rich, no!
No. It's okay. He's embracing me as Kim.
No, I'm not.
Oh, no!
Oh, yeah, I'll shoot him, gun.
Then there's Larry, who has no chance of being smart. He's a bit meaner and just a bit more dense.
I can't believe we have to cover Chase's shift. Nobody has it worse than us.
Chase was crushed to death by a crate of frozen meatballs.
I love meatballs.
The pairing is close enough where it feels very believable that they both get into trouble equally, but distinct enough where disagreements are also super believable in between them. And so they can be in sync one scenario and distinct in their own flavor in others. I really like these guys when their IQ goes below average and they're pure fodder for some really dumb stuff. Even the moments where it's super dry though, their charisma and levels of nonchalant also add to so much scenes. Aubrey Plaza, a very prolific actress in Hollywood, you might recognize her, like most of her roles, plays a very dead inside, bored out of her mind character. In fact, this character is an almost foil to Princess Leia. Instead of being this witty character that challenges the room to prove that she's the best, Plaza's character doesn't really care, and sometimes comes off as pretty heartless.
You have 13 hours to surrender or Alara dies.
Oh yeah, I lied. The base isn't on there.
What? You were just going to let me blow up 4 billion Alarans?
She's pretty hit or miss in her appearances, mostly because a good amount of them are paired up with Larry, but episodes like The Force Field, her brief moments in gun privileges, and especially Space Improv really let her shine. But it's pretty clear that her role is to be super dry to let the more colorful cast spread their wings. Which brings us to Dreadlord, a very wishy-washy, passive-aggressive, bipolar mess of a character. How does it that a character that makes Lord Helmet seem like a more competent leader still have a believable amount of intimidation with his men? Like, he doesn't even display any sort of powers. He just shows up with a gun. Something tells me that his men are in absolute fear of him, personality-wise, more than anything.
Okay, let's see what we have here. The company morale is very important. More mashed potatoes in the mess hall.
Well, sir, sometimes there's just no food, and
Who the do you think you are?
He's also, oddly enough, a pretty chill guy at the same time too, so moments where his guard is completely down are also super fun.
You're right. It does taste just like Julio's.
Isn't it great? I had it installed 3 days ago.
Last to mention is Chase, who's a secret third trooper in the group every now and then. At first, a complete stranger, Chase slowly becomes a good third wheel in the grand scheme of things. Mostly used for good old Kenny-style cannon fodder, the build-up created for it, or the setup he creates because of it, are scenarios that are probably fun without him, but also so much better because he's included.
Yum, 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 yum.
Try me.
He's looked down upon in his first appearance, but he slowly climbs the ranks of his peers, and they slowly start caring about him.
I killed him. I killed Chase.
No, you didn't.
Which is weird, because he gets killed like every episode he's in, but like whatever, I guess. Subtle character development is cool, even with broken continuity. The rest of the side characters range from funny to, wow, that episode sucked. The only one that really is worth a damn is the computer, and he has his own spectacular episode, plus a brief cameo.
It is located over there.
Where?
You'll know that way.
Which way? You're not even pointing at anything. You don't even have hands.
Oh sure, rub it in.
Really, most if not all the episodes are a lot of what-if scenarios that theoretically paint a picture of, what if this sci-fi thing sucked more than we thought, or what if this thing in Star Wars was not as clean as it could be.
Not avoider! Fuck! Even in the future!
future nothing works.
Again, that aforementioned supercomputer episode has a really dumb computer that shouldn't be this dumb, but here we are. Or what if lightsabers are made like an Amazon appliance? Or what if Princess Leia constantly had a guard harassing her? That last one was not fun to say. But yeah, the scenarios go from a magical beyond science it is what it is to an awkward yes, still working on the kinks. Others, like the suggestion box episode, are just fun episodes in the environment, and while not taking full effect of the setting, are still hilarious, so, you know, why the fuck not?
It's honestly really funny how much this series gets away with because it is funny. And, you know, nothing says that more than their costumes. Their costumes are creatively... You know, they're in this middle ground where they're creatively not Star Wars and actually pretty well made, to like knockoff Central and, you know, extremely cheap. Like I like their little like scope, for example. That's a great diverge from the stormtrooper design. But then in certain lightings, you can actually see there's this kind of like not residue, but like bumps and all that kind of look like make the armor look like clay or putty. And, you know, it kind of looks like, you know, too much paint was put on it, or, you know, it wasn't like carved or whatever, you know, and like with enough tension or care.
But I tend not to focus on stuff like that because the actors are so charismatic yet also so chill that I'm more so focused on their movement and general features and voices. It's like an animated Joel Haver video. The animation style and process he does causes some pretty bad errors in his visuals, but the scenarios, the acting, the posing, the voices, the art direction, they all carry the rest of the video so much that their flaws nullify. It's wild. And I'm serious, like, the space improv episode, again, man, the acting from these guys, even when they're not the main focus, is amazing. The stupid silent nodding of Dreadlord, or the awkward moment where they hear the laser has to charge 13 hours.
So, fire it again!
It takes 13 hours to recharge, sir.
The sound is pretty barren. There's no music at all. At least no non-diegetic music. Best you'll hear is the constant drone of sci-fi technology, and well, that just brings focus all of the antics that the troopers say or do.
How long has that light been on?
It lets it shine of its own merit, and I'd be lying if I said I wish there was music. Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I don't know, it kinda sucks.
Yeah, the biggest source for all my problems with this series really is the dud episodes, where it's not funny. And that's just a bigger problem with certain times old college humor's, well, humor was based on pure mean-spiritedness and thinking that being an asshole was funny. And yet, going back and watching this is still really fun.
And so, Troopers is extremely flawed, but extremely funny. Not a lot of series that I know of can really make it out with really just one good thing, followed by a bunch of flaws. But, I mean, to be fair, one, the flaws only really matter when you really focus on them. Two, the everything else quality wise is kind of like this consistent up and down, so there are ups to it. And three, the comedy just carries everything anyways. And yeah, it's just so easy to recommend to you, because what else can I say about it? It's funny, hilarious, and just overall hysterical.